Hey, deserving listeners, Kenny and Armando, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch.
I had to come down to Mexico and meet me. I was very nervous, but right when I saw him, he was better than I expected. Kenny and I have a 26-year age difference. Many people might see that as something weird, but I think that makes our relationship unique, different, and special.
Right. You've heard me talk about this before. This notion that a large age gap in a relationship is somehow disgusting or weird or bad is strange to me. It doesn't make any scientific sense. Listen to my whole deep dive on age differences in relationships. You can do a search by that. I go through all the science and all the data. And my only guess is that people have a heuristic around, one, if something is unusual, it's bad, which of course doesn't make any sense. And two, that if there's an age difference, then the younger person is being exploited, because when you see an age difference, like, if a 14-year-old and a 14-year-old are holding hands at school, then not a lot of people would consider that a problem. But a 14-year-old and a 24-year-old dates, then that's a problem, right? It's crime, but it's a problem because the 14-year-old is being exploited and being exposed to things that just they shouldn't be exposed to in all likelihood. So we apply that, which is good that we have that way of, we don't wait around to hear details. We don't go like, well, what is the relationship like between the 24-year-old and the 14-year-old, or even a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old? We don't wait around and be like, is exploitation happening? Is something creepy happening? Is this a crime? Should it be a crime? We just say, no, that's wrong. I don't want to hear I don't need to hear any details. It's wrong. And I think what happens is we just generalize that thinking to any age difference in a relationship, regardless of the age of the individuals. So for Kenny and Armando to have 26 years age difference, now maybe we'll find out there is exploitation happening, but now, can age difference be a red flag of exploitation? Yeah. If you have an older person, it raises if that's all you know about them, then in all likelihood I didn't see any research on this, but anecdotally I would say that there's a higher risk of the older person exploiting the younger person. But the other thing is that people the same age can exploit each other. A younger person can exploit an older person. So just looking at age difference and going, ew, or what's wrong with that, or that's, is so strange. The other thing that people will say is, well, you are not at the same point in life, that your lives are so different. Okay, it raises the risk of incompatibility, I suppose, but what about two people who have completely different lifestyles? One person is in graduate school and they're still, still working on their career. The other person has an established career, but they're the same age. You have two 30-year-olds. One 30-year-old is in grad school. The other 30-year-old has been working as a janitor for the past 15 years and is well, comfortable with their career. Those people are at completely different points of their lives. Does that mean it's disgusting that they're together? So anyway, it upsets me because there are so many people who fall in love and then say, the rest of the world, including our family, are not going to accept us just because of the age difference in our relationship. It just is so illogical to me.
When I first came out, my sisters started yelling at me and saying that I had the devil in me, that I was a sinner. I ran and ran and ran. I laid out in the desert and I just was like, I hope something comes and bites me and kills me.
Yeah, so many people go through this experience where they're treated like they're garbage just because they're gay, which is one of the most illogical things I could imagine. And then they think of themselves as garbage, and then they want to take their own lives, or they do risky things, or they drown themselves in substances because they're in so much pain. So it's just a tragedy. And Armando is, talking about that sister was telling him, he comes out and is like, I hope you still love me. And she rejects him, says, you're a devil's child or something. And it's easy for us to say like, well, don't worry about what your sister believes, just believe in yourself. We're not like that as humans. We're never like that and are never like that. The only way you can do that is if people love you and have loved you. That's the only, oftentimes people don't like it when I say this, that self-esteem is built through relationships. People will say, well, you got to love yourself before you can love other people. Well, the way I would say it is you have to be loved by other people before you can love yourself, before you can love other people. And I know that's rough to accept. I know it's kind of a bummer because you're thinking, well, that means I have to depend on other people. I don't want to depend on other people because they've always let me down. And the fact is it's just true. It fits into all my models and all my understanding and all my experiences with human beings. I, as a therapist, essentially will love clients, will have a secure attachment relationship with them, and through that relationship they can learn that they can trust other people and they can love themselves so that they can actually have satisfactory relationships with other people. And so when you're treated like crap, and I haven't talked about this specifically, that you have institutions like religious institutions that will brainwash their constituents to believe this sort of thing. It's one thing for humans to have a bias against things that aren't familiar to them, like, oh, that's a little weird to me, I don't like it. It's another thing to be, pounding your fist on the pulpit and saying some of these things that the parishioners will just repeat and will believe because it's being pounded into their head. So there's a lot of blame to go around for the oppression and the mistreatment of LGBTQ people, for sure. I mean, the pain that people have to go through because we are too stupid to think clearly. It's so illogical. There's certain pains in life where you're like, well, it's hard to avoid. This one is so easy for us to avoid as humans. We just have to stop the madness. Just stop it. Just stop being homophobic. Just stop being sexist. Just stop believing in something that makes absolutely no sense. Being gay causes no harm. Murdering people, lying to people, cheating on people, stealing from people, that causes harm. Consider it a sin. Makes sense to me. If you want to believe that people are going to hell if they don't repent from those things, then okay, that makes sense. It fits in with the humanistic idea of not harming other people, doing unto others, the golden rule. But being gay, it just breaks my heart that people suffer. We do it to ourselves. We humans create the religious. I'm angry because I'm sad. I'm sad, terribly sad for Armando.
Y nomás quiero saber, pues quiero que sepas que soy quien soy. Soy esa persona y soy el mismo, soy tú.
And I'm angry at everyone who can't see it clearly. The people who allow the brainwashing in and don't scrutinize it at all. I'm angry at those people as well. I'm angry at the people who propagate the brainwashing. I'm angry at the people who let it in. Because, like, take my mom, for example. My mom is heavily religious, has, gone to church throughout her life. And I remember in the 90s having a conversation with her about gay people. And I was like, so what's your stance on gay people? And I fully expected her, having no education in the area and I don't think any kind of exposure to LGBTQ people at the time, that she would say what everyone else said, but a lot of people said was, well, they're sinning and, I hope the best for them, but, it's wrong and they need to stop it. And she didn't say that. She said, you know what? I thought about it for a long time and I think there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that God would be fine with it. There's a choice there, There's a brainwashing that's happening that we can blame and we can not hold the brainwashed fully responsible. But I also think the people have to think straight. You have to be able to think for yourself and look, okay, the minister is telling me one thing, but does that really square with my understanding of how the world works and how humans work and how God works? Does that make sense to me? And so, yeah, I'm pissed, man. It is upsetting to watch harm happening to people for no reason is the thing. Ugh.
It's hard, brother.
No se me hace justo si pasé toda mi vida escondiéndome por ustedes.
It's hard.
I know, but this
It's
is me
hard.
and you have to accept it.
It's hard
You have to
because
love me.
you showed us something different. You showed us another face that you could have shown us since the first time.
What? It's his fault that you're homophobic? It's his fault that you can't just change the way you think about it? It's his fault because he lived in a society that made it so that he had to force himself into a heterosexual marriage, and he tried to make himself into a heterosexual person for 8 years, and it did not work. And it's his fault because he did that. It's his fault. Now, sister might be a wonderful person, but this is the representation of all that is wrong in our world when it comes to this sort of thing. That you just keep shoving that square peg into the round hole. Like, there's got to be a way that I can retain my ridiculous way of thinking, and the only way I can do that is if I just keep shoving this, square peg into this round hole. It can't be my fault. There can't be something a little bit wrong with my religion. The minister can't be kind of wrong. The minister is 100% right. My church is 100% right. My parents are 100%. My society, everything is 100% right. There must be something wrong with Armando.
And it was hard for us. Él estaba casado con una mujer, pero jugaste con nuestra mente, trajiste una niña al mundo.
He played with our minds. It's his fault. He played with our minds. Now, she is normal. She's not strange. If anything, she might even be better than the average person because at least she's talking to him. I don't know. But she's saying he played with our minds because he got married and then he had a child. Like, yeah, gay people have kids. Get over it.
Y para nosotros es súper difícil.
Yes, for you, it's super hard. Imagine what it's like for him. And this notion of and I think where they're coming from is you're asking, I think what essentially, because of the way these institutions work, they set it up such that if you question anything that we're saying, then you are rejecting everything. If you even have a question mark on what I'm telling you, then you're rejecting everything I'm saying. And it's almost like a cult, right? That's how cults operate. That full control over the mind. Do not question things. Do not scrutinize. I am infallible. This document is infallible. My interpretation of this document is infallible. To her, it's him that's creating the problem, when it is absolutely the opposite.
Yo pasé toda mi vida desde que yo era niño escondiéndome a mí mismo, encerrado llorando. O sea, que ahorita me lo digas como en tono de reclamo, de que les puse otra cara.
Yo lo entiendo.
Do you understand? I don't know. I don't think you really understand. I think if she really understood what his experience was and really understood that he has no choice in being gay, that's who he is. If you really understood that, then you wouldn't be saying the things that you are saying. You would be saying something like, look, Armando, you've done nothing wrong and you've suffered a lot, but I'm telling you, I am having a hard time. Not as hard as what you've been having in your life, but I'm having a hard time adjusting because this is making me question a lot of things and I don't know what to do with it. And it's scary. It's stressful. I'm being told this other stuff that I kind of believe, but then I'm hearing other stuff that I kind of believe in. They don't match up and I don't know what to do. Okay, that I would understand. But to say you created this problem, you played with our minds. Ugh.
Que te quiero mucho. Que me perdones por lo que te dije esa vez. Me dolió demasiado.
Okay, good. A step in the right direction. We've heard some concerning things, but obviously this is good. She's in it. And, I get it, before I get a lot of comments and emails and stuff, I get it. It's a different society, apparently. It makes sense. I know I have, close friends that are Mexican, and will tell me about how different the culture is, and in a variety of ways, which of course makes sense, and how religious the community is, and how the community is still adjusting, shall we say, to LGBTQ advocacy. So I get it, and she's a victim of that as much as he is. But like I said, my mom, she had every reason to be like this, but she didn't. Why? My mom's not better than this person, but my mom made a choice. Now, maybe my mom had other influences that helped her that this sister doesn't have. I don't know. I'm just angry at the whole thing. I'm angry at the institutions, and I'm angry at the people that are a part of those institutions, who support the institutions and don't question the institutions. I'm angry at the whole thing.
I'm feeling very sad because he's my only brother. He's second dad for my kids. I'm a mom for Hannah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm confused as to why they have to move to another town. I don't think I caught an explanation. There must be some reason. But why can't they live in this? Is it because Kenny and Armando are worried about the town or the family being prejudiced against them? Oh, I think they said that for Kenny, he would have more opportunity for employment in this bigger town. Is that what's happening? So maybe that's the reason.
Most of you believe Armando is in his mid to late 30s, and he just turned 31.
We're the same age.
I know.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so maybe they're just joking and they won't go too far down this road, but this is something that is often said when you have age differences like this with Big Ed and Rose or Liz, that they are around, if not younger, than Big Ed's daughter. And people make this very strange leap that indicates that, wait, so that means you want to have sex with one of your kids? Or you're trying to get like a child to be a romantic and sexual partner with you? And I find that leap to be very strange, that you're dating someone that's younger and they happen to be similar age to one of your children, and somehow the wires get crossed in your head that it's some sort of incestuous problem. Like, everyone understands that Armando is not Kenny's son, right? Like, none of them believe that Armando is the son of Kenny. So, this weird thing. And again, I think it's because we just have this prejudice against it, and then we're just looking for reasons to match up with the way it feels, and we are grasping at straws, and we identify this thing. Oh, I'm the same age, and I'm your daughter-in-law. Does that mean you want to have sex with me? It's like, no. No. What if you had your spouse was the same age as your sibling? That wouldn't be very uncommon. Does that mean you want to have sex with your sibling? No. Stop it.
My son is dating someone the same age.
I feel like dating a 31-year-old for me is pretty normal.
Oh, wait. You're saying it's not normal? Or it's abnormal for me?
Right, normal, but we all understand that normal doesn't mean better or good, and abnormal doesn't mean bad or scientifically wrong or morally wrong. And this is another reason why I think people have this reaction, is because it's not normal. But of course, particularly in the past, being gay was not normal, but we all understand that being gay is fine, right? So the fact that something isn't normal doesn't mean it's immoral or wrong or unhealthy or disgusting or anything like that.
Happy that you're happy, and
For the last almost 27 years, I've been all about my kids.
Yeah, he brings up a good point, if that's true. Okay, I have known someone for 3.5 years, and I want to move away and marry him, and he's the love of my life, And when I bring this up to you, y'all are like thinking about yourselves or thinking about how you're skeptical of this. And the past 27 years, I've dedicated like all of my life to you and raising you and making you happy. And you can't be happy for me. Like you can't say, oh, I'm happy that you're happy, Dad. If this makes you happy, then this is a wonderful occasion. So maybe with his crying and talking about his pain, which is very healthy for him to do. And it'd be normal for kids in their 20s to not necessarily have that awareness. Certainly some people in their 20s do have that awareness, but sometimes not yet. We often think, well, you turn 18, you're an adult now. Nah, there's a lot of development that happens through your 20s. In fact, there was this one theorist, Donald Williamson, actually a local, who thought that you couldn't really become differentiated until you were at least 30 years old. And he, I think, if I remember right, he wouldn't accept people into his group therapy program that worked on differentiation and family of origin work unless you were 30 years old. You know, that's pretty a blanket statement, and certainly there's some wiggle room there. But anyway, my point is that maybe with Kenny crying and talking about his feelings, the kids will say, oh yeah, of course we need to shift gears and congratulate our father and not think about ourselves and not be skeptical of him so much. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really do.